Okay, that's better. Good morning, everybody. Well, it's morning where I am. There's a thing in the news that I wanted to talk about is transgender sports in high school. And this is in America, so I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but two trans guys, okay, I'm going to call them guys because they haven't gone through any hormone replacement. They haven't gone through any of the surgical procedures. They're just identifying as female. Actually, they're twins. They just smoked, and I mean smoked, a girls' competition in sprints, I believe. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look this up at the same time. I should have done this before. Anyway, it's in track. And they came in first and second. One actually broke the record by like 6 seconds. Okay. Now, let me preface this story with this as far as my stance on transgender people. Transgender people, I don't have a problem with. Okay. Um, what I'm very much a libertarian. Whatever people want to do in their life is fine. Whatever changes they feel they need to make is fine with me. I don't care. Um, I will treat them with respect. I will call them whatever pronoun that they prefer. Uh, but don't force it on my kids and my grandkids. Now, these girls on this team have trained and trained and trained to go to this meet, and then the two twins signed up, and as the article is saying, everybody just threw their hands up and said, "Okay, well, we know who's going to win now." I think you can understand why they would think that. There, I went to the transgender athletic site. It's a real site that gives the rules for each state on transgender students who want to participate or just in general in school. If you're interested, it is called transathlete.com, and it goes state by state. It has a lot of other information there too on what is required in order for a trans person to participate in sports. Most of these states do not have any requirements to have gone under any hormone replacement for any specific time. Okay, they or anything really. It's just identification only, and I don't think that's fair. It is a scientific fact that a man after puberty is going to have the advantage over a female. Okay, that's just all there is to it. They're going to run faster, they're going to lift harder, they're going to train harder. That's just all there is to it. I take that back about the training because a girl will train just as hard, but for what? For what reason? If two genetic guys are going to jump in front of her and take every advantage away from her that she has. There was a standout female athlete that was up for a scholarship, and these two guys took it away from her. I don't think that's fair. And they're getting a lot of heat for it. Well, in Connecticut, where this took place, there is no requirements for hormone replacement. A lot of places, it's you have to be on hormone replacements or whatever you call it. I'm not familiar with the lingo that the sports people use, replacement or whatever. So excuse me if I'm saying this wrong, but anyway, they have to be on it for a year, okay, and then they have to be tested to make sure that it's at the levels that it's supposed to be. Well, personally, I don't really think that that's enough, but when you're dealing with children, essentially, I guess that's as good as you're going to get. Well, I looked up my state, Alabama. Of course, our state is a conservative state, and they require that you run or participate in sports under the gender on your birth certificate. Now, unless you've gone through the hormone treatment and or surgery, I believe that that's fair. And in high school, it really is important. Well, in college as well, but in high school, it's really important. These young women are losing opportunities to go to college because of self identifying trans girls. There is no way that they can compete on that level. It just isn't. So I will be curious to see how this comes out. I was surprised to see how many states, I haven't read through all of them, have it varies from state to state. The requirements that you have to be when transitioning in order to play sports. I don't think that anything under a year of hormone treatment and or transitioning surgery. I know I sound so ignorant on this subject, and I'm sorry because it's not something that I particularly support. Um, it differs from state to state. And when it comes down to taking away a scholarship from a genetic girl, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it, period. Just in principle. If a girl is going to win a race, it should be on a level playing field. The self identification in high school is crazy. Is crazy. And if you don't support it, then you're called mm, sexist and a bigot, and that you're prejudiced. And it doesn't have anything to do with that. Okay, trans people, I don't have a problem with, but don't force it on the kids. Don't disadvantage the kids. Okay, it's even in college as well. Excuse me, especially with the weightlifters. I do not see. Well, let's just stick to the subject. As far as running goes, or anything of that nature, anything that doesn't have anything to do with weightlifting, I'll get to that in a minute. It's not fair. It's just plain not fair. I don't think it should come into high school sports at all. If you're going to lift in high school, then you should have to do the same thing. You should have to go through the hormone replacement and all this. This is just blatantly unfair. I can see, okay, I'm a first generation feminist. I think I've said that before. This craziness with the trans generation, as far as putting it in our schools, teaching it to our kindergartners and elementary schools, I don't agree with. The kids are too young. They're too young. Okay. Now I know I'm getting off the sports, but as far as putting it in schools, period, I think it's too young. Now I don't know how it is in Britain, but it's just coming into the school system here. It's state by state. It's not federal. And there are different ways to teach it. Now, I do know that here in my city, in Mobile, they've had a couple of, well, actually more than a couple, of the reading by drag queens. Now, I know that's drag queens is not transgender people, but the reading matter is very much the same. It's a softening of the subject to pre kindergarten children. Now, the parents have to bring the kids. You know, they have to voluntarily bring the kids. and they listen, and the parents accompany them. There's been some demonstrations about it. I haven't been to one, although I wanted to go, not to be on either side, but just to see for myself what was going on. But I have seen the videos afterwards, and there's a softening of the stance in sexes with the children, with the material that's being read to get them used to the idea. Okay. Now, I don't have a problem with that as far as gay couples go, getting kids used to the idea of, okay, my best friend has two dads or two moms. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. As far as a drag queen sitting there in all glory of glitter and sequins and drag queen uh, outfit, no, I don't agree with that because the kids see this as dress up. They see it as something glittery and pretty, something different, and they're listening to what's being read, but and they're absorbing it, but it's not being understood. To me, it's an indoctrination, and I don't agree with that. Let a kid get old enough to understand what sex even is before you start doing that. Then you go into the sports, okay? If a guy identifies as a girl, he's allowed in the locker room, he's allowed in the bathroom. Yes, 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 yes. United States and their locker room issues, but it's the truth. In school, in high school, there is a difference than when you're an adult and understand these things. I wouldn't I've got grandkids. I don't want them exposed to this. The reason why is because I think it's up to my daughter and my son-in-law to explain to my grandchildren in their own way, in their own time, when they feel that their own children are ready for this, and it should not be forced on them. Yes, they are gonna be around trans kids. They're gonna be around trans people, and that's fine. But let the parents explain in their own time. As far as the sports goes, I don't know how this is gonna shake out. I imagine it's gonna have some lawsuits, which I would imagine are not gonna make a bit of difference. I can't see how it is fair for a biological male to identify as a female, run in a track and field event, win by 6 seconds, and it be okay. I don't understand that. I don't understand how anybody can say that that's okay. So, it's really got me a little annoyed because how can the trans guy even feel like he's won anything? He beat a bunch of girls. He's bigger, stronger, faster, but yet he won. So, big deal. He won against a bunch of girls. Man, just keep it out of the schools, okay? Keep it out of the sports, until you find some way to level the playing field literally, and just let the kids be kids, for Christ's sake. I'm glad I'm not raising kids right now. I really am, because it's a difficult subject to approach and maintain respect for the trans person, but on the other hand, tell your girls, hey, do the best that you can, be a strong woman, get out there, practice, work out, do your sprints, get out there in the heat and just really do the best you can. And then two guys that identify as women step in front of you, sign up, and win. I can see where that can be very discouraging. And I wouldn't know what to tell my daughters if I was in that parent's position. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't know what to tell them. If they came home and said, you know, "Mom, we've got 2 guys that identify as women signed up for this event now. There is no way, even though I was the one that was supposed to win because I've been doing the best all this time, there's no way I can beat them. There's no way. Am I supposed to sit there as a grandparent and say, "Yes, you can. Keep trying. Keep doing your best. Just keep practicing. Get the mindset going." I'm a big believer in the way that you think is the way that you do. But you physically cannot beat a man that has not had hormone replacement and or the surgery yet in high school. All chances are gone. That's, if I was a parent and had a child that lost a scholarship on account of this, oh my gosh, y'all have never heard my temper. And I've gone to schools on my children's account before, not on this, when they were in school. And it's not pretty. But I can tell you one thing, if that had happened to my daughter, I would be in that school, in the school board, in the city council, in anywhere that I could go protesting this. I don't care whether there's a scholarship on the line or not. It's the dignity, the it's the ethics of it. You don't stick a guy in identifying as a female into a girl's race. You don't stick a guy in identifying as a female into any girl's sport, into wrestling. There's been a lot of girls get hurt because of a self-identifying guy getting in a wrestling match with a girl and her getting physically hurt. He didn't mean to do it, okay? He didn't mean to, but it's his nature, okay? A girl can't wrestle a guy. Men are naturally stronger. Their bone density is different. If they're going through or have gone through puberty, everything changes. I don't understand why there is such misunderstanding about this. It's nature, okay? Now, if I see a teenage guy out on the street and he identifies as a female, fine. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. That's fine, okay? But put them in school sports and you demoralize the other kids, especially the females. Now, this is where my feminism comes out because, you know, don't mess with our girls. They work hard, they play hard. They should not be subjected to a guy coming in, identifying as a female, and taking all of mm, their discipline and their practice and their work away from them just on the order of sex. It's not fair. It is not fair. So I don't know how this is going to come out. Um, we'll see. I don't. I really don't know what else to say about this. I just wanted to get it out there. It's gone way too far. This has nothing to do with religion. It doesn't have anything to do with me being in the South because this came out in Connecticut. It doesn't have anything to do with anything except nature. That's all. So it's a problem, and it's a problem that's going to continue to plague our girls. I don't see a solution to it. I really don't. And don't even get me started on the pronouns or the gender fluidity thing and all that because I'm about to go to the gym and I really don't want to go and have to do 3 miles just to get all the frustration out. You don't know what to call anyone anymore, okay? And especially in school. And then you get in trouble if you misidentify, which I think is the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard in my life. I call people by what they look like. I'm not going to ask every person in the world, what should I call you? I'm not going to do it. I shouldn't have to do it. I'm not going to do it what the person wants to be, that's their business, but don't infringe on my freedom of making me use a vocabulary that is ordained by the trans community, because I'm not gonna do it. So, I am fortunate in one respect that I'm not in a big city, I'm not in an urban area, so I don't have the problems that a lot of people do, but I'm not using all these crazy pronouns, I'm not gonna do it. Whether I agree or not with the trans person really is it doesn't matter because it's not my business. But when those trans laws affect my grandchildren, then it is my business. And my grandchildren are going to be taught and are being taught to use different pronouns to see people in a way that they're not. And they're being read to different sources of material to introduce a lifestyle that they don't even understand yet. Okay? What 6-year-old understands what sex really what 6-year-old has been taught what sex is or gender? And I don't believe there's a difference, okay? So, and I know that I'm not alone in this, so I'm not really worried about it. Don't put this in the schools. I don't know, it's becoming more and more prevalent in the schools, and, we're about to have another drag queen reading here in a couple of weeks here, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to ask questions because there's been such an outrage about it, because I want to hear for myself how this is being presented. So, anyway, I just wanted to put this out there, and I worry for our young girls now, not for being assaulted or using the same locker room or anything, for their how to encourage a straight young woman to engage in sports, especially if they're going for a scholarship against a man, okay? A trans guy who has got no hormone treatment under their belt, no anything except identifying as female. That is blatantly unfair. That's all there is to it as far as I'm concerned. So, anyway, we'll see how this shakes out. I don't know how it's going to go, but, I have a feeling it's not gonna be good for our girls. Now, you can look at it a lot of ways. I don't care. It's just unfair, and I'm glad that I don't have a daughter right now that I'm trying to encourage to keep going, keep trying, keep practicing in the face of this, because I don't know how I could look myself in the face and say, "You're doing the right thing," and try to encourage my daughter to keep trying to compete against a male. So, if you're gonna do that, then just make everything open to all sexes. Make football open to women, make basketball open to women. I'm talking about the pro leagues. If you're gonna do that, just open it up and make it for everybody in the high schools, and why was it separated to start with? That's the whole thing. You're getting people that identify only as another sex, okay? There is nothing there except them saying that they are, and it makes me mad. It really does, because how are you supposed to adjust to this? So, I have issues with this in my own family. I'm not going to go into it, not my daughter, but, a grandchild who's on the cusp of adolescence and been raised in a very liberal home. I mean, extremely liberal home, and she's already saying that she thinks she's gay. Okay, I don't have a problem with having a gay granddaughter, daughter, aunt, uncle, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But this child is 12 years old. 12 years old. You cannot, I don't think, in my opinion, you can't be sure of anything at 12. You just can't. That's not how nature is. So I'm going to get off this rant. And like I said, I'm headed out to the gym, work off some of this frustration. And it seems like I always talk about the most serious things, but it's the serious things that really get under my skin enough to get on here and talk about it. And, you know, I do have a problem with all the pronouns now. I have a problem with the gender fluidity and the non-binary gender and how many genders there are, and it all comes down to DNA, people. You're either male or female. When it comes down to it, in my opinion, you can have all the surgeries you want. I'm trying to bring the voice down here because I feel strongly about this. You can have all the surgeries that you want. You can have all the plastic surgeries you want. You can take all the hormones you want. You can take all the blockers, the puberty blockers you want. When it comes down to it, your DNA is the same, okay? Your DNA is the same. So if you were born a man, your DNA is going to be a man. Same with a woman. It's just that simple. If you choose to think something else, that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that. Just don't force me to use pronouns that are deemed necessary by a minority group, because I'm not going to do it. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and go through a list of 10 pronouns of trying to find the right one for that particular person. I'm not going to do it. It's just not worth it. I just won't be around the person. And then God help it, if it ever comes up in a store with a cashier or a salesperson or something like that, and I get in trouble for using the wrong pronoun, somebody's going to have to bail me out of Metro jail, because I am not going to go through that. I won't do it. So anyway, I'm going to wind this up and go to the gym, get on with my day, and I'm going to be watching all of this pan out and see. I'm sitting in a supposedly safe state because, as I said, you have to participate under the gender that's on your birth certificate, and that's the way I think that it should be. But I feel for these girls. I feel for these girls that are being beaten in their own sport, and it's not fair. It's just not fair. So anyway, y'all have a good day, okay?